Hi, hello, and welcome everybody to the second episode of our Hallway Talk podcast. We are Deep Fried Freedom. I'm Clay Councilman alongside Phillip Watson, Will Paley, and Ben Szilagyi, and we are going to run through a variety of topics today, mainly focusing in pop culture and entertainment. Today is actually going to be a special episode. Later on, we're going to do a series of top 5 lists. We each came in prepared with our own top 5 lists, and we're going to discuss and debate. We're not going to be posting a podcast next week. We're going to be out for break, and we will be back next week. So we're going to do this deep fried top 5s, which actually one of our categories, and the first one we're going to do here is the top 5 fast food restaurants, and we're gonna talk about it and try to figure out. All right, Will, we're gonna start with you down there. What you got?
At number 1, I have Chick-fil-A, which if you want to argue about that, I will argue all day. There's no way there's a fast food that is better than Chick-fil-A right now. At number 2, I have Chipotle, which, I mean, that there's coming out the basic white girl in me, and I have to bring it up. But, it's really good, and they've made a lot of money, too. And then I have Papa John's. Say what you want to say. Domino's is better, whatever. I'm a big fan of Papa John's. That might not be the most popular decision or the most popular opinion, but, hey, I think they're really good. Then I have 5's at number 4, and then Subway at 5.
Okay. Those are some good choices. Phillip?
I, just like Will, also have Chick-fil-A at the top of my list, and I'll be willing to go to war to keep it there at number 1. I also put Taco Bell at number 2. There's this place down in Fayetteville called Fazoli's. It's Italian fast food. Don't knock it till you try it. At 4, I've got Wendy's, and at 5, I got Zaxby's.
Okay, that's a pretty good list. And Ben, what you got?
So my list is Comeback Shack at number 1, which if any of you guys have ever been up into Boone, I hope you swing by it. It's by far the best little burger joint that I've ever been to.
Absolutely.
In my life. Whataburger, which is normally more of a southwestern regional chain, so it's kind of hard to find where we're at. But Whataburger is just unbelievable. Cookout, Bojangles, and Jimmy John's are my last
Excellent.
3 there.
Yeah, I'm going to have a couple overlaps so far on mine, but I am going to add a couple to our list here. I have at number 1, and y'all know this, I am a Wendy's enthusiast. So Wendy's is definitely at the top of my list. Second, I have Freddy's, which we actually don't have one anywhere up here in this Boone area, but they are growing in numbers.
Freddy's is pretty good.
Yeah, I do. I just really like their burgers. I enjoy the fries. They have the special fry sauce, and I'm pretty sure it's some combination of ketchup, mayonnaise, and other seasonings. But it's good, and it's their signature fry sauce. I also have Cookout. I also have Bojangles, but one of mine this is my number 5 that isn't on this list already is Dairy Queen.
That's an interesting addition.
Because I say Dairy Queen less for the food, more for the ice cream, because I love Blizzards.
Yeah, I was about to say their food's not the best,
No.
but their ice cream is pretty darn
Blizzards.
good.
Love
I will say
Blizzards.
that.
So what we've got so far on our big combined list, we have 16 items, and we have 2 votes for Chick-fil-A, we have Chipotle, Papa John's, 5's, Subway, Taco Bell, Fazoli's, 2 votes for Wendy's, Zaxby's, Comeback Shack, Whataburger, 2 votes for Cookout, 2 votes for Bojangles, Jimmy John's, Freddy's, and Dairy Queen.
You know what's the best part about that whole list? Is that through 16 fast food places that we put down, none of them are McDonald's.
That's true. And we were talking about this earlier, is that if we had to say McDonald's is the undisputed king of fast food. Internationally. Well, yes, and they're the most iconic fast food place in ever, and probably always will be. But that's interesting that none of us actually do have McDonald's on that list. I eat McDonald's occasionally, but it's not one of my frequent stops.
I think their breakfast is all right, but I'm
Sweet
not a
tea's
huge fan
good.
of their burgers or anything else, really.
The sweet tea's good. They have pretty good milkshakes. Their milkshakes are good.
Their ice cream machine's always broke. I ain't never been able to get a milkshake from there.
Wendy's. All right, so let's go down this list. I think it's safe to say we were all okay with keeping Chick-fil-A.
Absolutely.
Should we keep Chipotle?
No.
Why not?
All right. So, personally, I'm the one of the pickiest people you'll ever meet for when it comes to food.
Facts.
And just Chipotle is just like a bunch of like beans and stuff. They get E. coli they give out all the time, and it's just not good for you.
Okay, the whole E. coli scandal is in the past. There's no E. coli currently. Well, I'm knocking on wood right now, but there is no E. coli in their food at the moment. So that argument is invalid.
All right, I vote no. Phil votes no. Paley votes yes. Ben.
If Chipotle, first of all, if Chipotle is a fast food joint, then IKEA is a fast food joint. Second of all, Chipotle's food is comparable to IKEA's food in many ways. If I'm there and my family is there, yeah, I'm going to get something. I ate those horse meatballs. Not going to lie, they weren't terrible. But did I ever tell myself, man, I really need to go back to IKEA and get those meatballs? I've never once vocalized an urge in my life to go to Chipotle. I've been there many times when the group decides. I think it's vastly overrated, and I don't even think it technically falls into the category of fast food. I think it's really fast, poor quality, slow food.
Why would it not be fast food?
I mean, let's define what a fast food joint even is.
Is Subway
then.
fast food?
I would say Subway is fast food.
So what's different between Chipotle and Subway other than one's a sandwich and one's Mexican food?
That's a good point, but I mean, Subways have drive-thrus. A lot of Subways have drive-thrus. A lot of sandwich joints in general have drive-thrus. You know, and I don't know. I mean, Chipotle just doesn't feel like fast food to me, and it doesn't feel high enough quality not to be fast food. You know what I mean?
So Chipotle is going to be our first one to go here on the list, and the list comes down to 15. We're moving on now. Papa John's Pizza. This is the only appearance of pizza on this list, and I'm gonna go ahead and cast my vote for no.
They're not even the pizza brand of the NFL anymore, so they're not even that good, are they?
Well, I do get a lot of people do like Domino's better, but Papa John's to me is great. And also, I mean, hey, how can you hate him if Peyton Manning has been in their commercials? I mean, really.
That's why he sold all his franchises, right?
All right. Well, Benjamin, what's your thoughts?
Yeah, I kind of want to axe Papa John's
All right,
too.
I'm honestly not too
I like
mad
their
about that.
sides, but like as far as
Yeah.
pizza goes, like
And there's just so many
it's
others
just
on this
pizza.
list. Yeah.
It's not exceptional pizza; it's just pizza.
So Chick-fil-A is the only one that has survived thus far. 5 Guys. I'm gonna vote. This may be an unpopular opinion, but I'm gonna vote for the axe.
5 Guys to me personally is just like it feels like a ballpark. You like walk in, you can get like hot dogs, burgers, and the whole place smells like peanuts, and it's fantastic. But I personally think if we gotta make this list down to 5, I can't put them in my top 5, and I don't think it has the prestige as some of these other restaurants that we have said so far.
Okay, well, out of burger quality, like which is what they're mostly known for, what would you say about putting Wendy's over them? Because I bet we could all agree that Five Guys' burgers are better than Wendy's burgers.
So while I do agree that I've more memories of enjoying Five Guys burgers than I do enjoying Wendy's burgers, I have no memories of not enjoying a Wendy's burger, and I have had a very traumatic experience at Five Guys.
Have you?
There was a bone in my burger, like it's about the size of a quarter, just like chunk of bone, and so at I haven't been back since. I go with my buddies and I'll get the peanuts I'll eat a whole meal worth of free peanuts while they eat the meal, but I don't eat Five Guys anymore.
And with us being in Boone, I think you have to take the Five Guys' counterpart in Comeback Shack.
I agree.
Just as good of burgers, or maybe better. I don't know. I don't eat burgers, so I can't figure that out. You just don't get peanuts at Five Guys.
Eat, honestly?
Chicken.
Actually, I would agree with that. I would say Comeback Shack is better than Five Guys.
All right.
Sounds
then.
like we're giving Five Guys
Five
the
Guys
axe.
the axe. And one thing I failed to mention earlier is that all restaurants on this list and all items on the list continuing that have more than one vote make it through the first round automatically. Like Chick-fil-A went through automatically because it had 2 votes. Subway is our next contestant here. I again am going to vote for the axe on Subway.
I was about to say I got some choice words about Subway.
I
don't know. Out of all the sandwich joints, we have so many great sandwich chains in this country now. We've got Firehouse Subs, you've got Jimmy John's,
Right.
you've got Jersey Mike's. Subway has to be the lowest of the low for me. I can't it's not as far as quality of sandwich, not good. Price, not good anymore. They quit the $5 footlong
That's right.
thing, and the $5 footlongs weren't any good because you had to buy the monthly one sub. You couldn't pick Like I really their bread tastes like plastic. It's got a real plasticky feel on the outside of it. Like it's really weird. I'm not a Subway guy at all.
Any objections?
I personally like Subway more than like Jimmy John's and stuff like that. But I think Jersey Mike's, if I had to pick like a sub restaurant, would definitely win for me. So I can't put Subway in my top 5 over other sandwich places that was not even on the list.
Well, I just put Subway in there because of the popularity that it has internationally and in the U.S. But I would say if I had to choose one sandwich place, it would be Firehouse Subs, like you mentioned, Ben. Their subs are very good. But the reason I put Subway in there was because of how popular it is.
So down goes Subway, and we reduce our list so far to 12. Next is Taco Bell. This is, we know, one of Phillip's favorite infrequent haunts. I am going to vote against Taco Bell. It's
Clay
very
hates all food ever. Everything is an
He has
axe.
voted
just
no to
saying,
everything. And if there weren't
I'm
2
just
votes
saying.
for Chick-fil-A, he probably would have voted against it.
No, I probably would have kept Chick-fil-A. I really would have. But no, y'all know this. I don't like Mexican food, so that's my quarrel against Taco Bell, especially that it's a low quality of Mexican food.
It definitely is a low quality of Mexican food, I will say that.
I love Taco Bell. First of all, those crunch wraps are killer. I love that kind of stuff. I love stuff that's like, burritos, anything that's like super easily handheld, comfortable, and tasty, and like all wrapped up in one like that. That's my jam. I'm all for it.
I will say when they did those limited edition, limited run rolled chicken tacos with the dipping sauce, those were pretty good. I liked those.
And
But
now
that's
they've got those fries coming out. They've got
the
queso fries.
the
They've got,
nacho-
like,
or
Mexican,
nacho fries,
Nacho
yeah,
fries.
yeah.
I haven't had them yet. Are they not good?
They're definitely worth $1, and that's it.
Understandably, but half of the menu is only worth $1. That's why it's charged at $1. But that's the beauty of Taco Bell to me. It's really dirt cheap, really low quality food, but we're paying for what it's worth. Whereas at other places, they'd be a lot more expensive for just the same quality food.
So I think that's safe to say that Taco Bell is going to stay in for now. So
Perfect.
That's our first one.
Two for two.
Our first one to survive. There is Taco Bell. Next is Phillip's nomination of his local restaurant, Fazoli's.
We can knock out Fazoli's because all these other places that you guys have mentioned are fantastic, and we'll just knock out the one that's like there's only like 30 shops throughout the whole United States.
Right. All right, Wendy's will move on to the next round because they did get 2 votes. But next is Zaxby's, another one of our favorites here. On Monday nights, we get a student discount there, and that's pretty nice. You can eat for about $4.60 cents.
I honestly wouldn't be going to Zaxby's if they didn't have that
That's a good point.
special on Mondays.
That's a good point.
So I would vote to exit.
So I've had Zaxby's twice in my life.
Okay.
Both were great.
Okay.
Not a single time since then or before then or in between do I really had any desire to go to Zaxby's. It's not a name that calls to me. It's not any sort of a food that I'm like yearning for that I couldn't find more desirable and maybe differently priced somewhere else. So I personally aren't specifically against Zaxby's, but I'm definitely not for Zaxby's on the list.
I put Zaxby's down because their secret sauce, whatever is in it, it's definitely the
good.
best secret sauce throughout all the restaurants that have been named.
I've got such a beef with the whole concept of the secret sauce. I hate that because every single restaurant has one, but it's all the same 4 ingredients, and you just kind of hope that you get one more than the other. It's like it's a combination of like mayo and then like either ketchup, mustard, or barbecue sauce or honey mustard. Then it's like, oh, this is our Bojangles sauce, or this is our comeback sauce, or this is our cookout sauce. It's like it's all the same garbage.
Right.
Like just stick with honey mustard or ranch like normal people. Like we don't need this. I don't ever go to any of those restaurants looking for that special sauce.
So what do we think about Zaxby's? I think that might be an axe.
Yeah, I'd say no, especially because for what they're selling, and most of their things are chicken related, that
Yay!
Chick-fil-A blows them out of the water.
Sure.
So
Now my next comment, I feel like it's only fair that Comeback Shack and Whataburger, seeing as how they are regionally locked restaurants, seeing as how we cut Fazoli's, as much as it breaks my heart to cut Comeback Shack, I feel like those two need to be cut, seeing as how they're not generally accessible locations.
So Whataburger, I'm fine with you axing, and then Comeback Shack is even much more closed off. The only reason I have such a devout hope that Comeback Shack stays on the list is because we are all Boone living residents now.
Sure.
So if anything, I think that we all can agree that it's one of our favorite restaurants.
I'm okay with leaving it in there for now. Sure.
If we did axe Comeback Shack, we definitely have to axe Freddy's too.
That's true. I agree. I've never been to a Freddy's before, and
Okay.
I've lived
I think
in,
that's fair.
20 different states.
Let's leave
which means
Comeback.
like 6, actually,
We'll leave. We're down to 9 right now. We'll leave Comeback Shack in there for now. Both Cookout and Bojangles have 2 votes, so that brings us to Jimmy John's.
I think we're finding that we don't like the food that we thought we did.
Yeah.
we all came with this list of 5, and we're just like axe.
Sure.
But, I like Jimmy John's just because I'm a real simple guy. It's not
Right.
really hard to mess up a
Freaky
sandwich.
fast.
But I love that freaky fast.
Yeah.
I love the fact that I can walk in and they'll have my sandwich ready for me before I finish paying.
That's great.
Fantastic to me.
Sure.
So that's the only reason I pitch freaky fast. That's
Okay.
that's my ideas.
Jimmy John's personally, I just like other restaurants like Firehouse and like Jersey Mike's a lot more than Jimmy John's. I mean, I just personally would axe it, but especially because we got rid of like Subway and stuff.
Yeah, I think if we got rid of Subway, we'd have to get rid of Jimmy John's just because and you talked about Subway not tasting good. It's definitely not the best sandwich I've ever had, but Jimmy John's, I think Subway's better than Jimmy John's taste-wise.
That's fair. I'm fine with Jimmy John's going down as long as Subway does as well.
So that Subway is gone already. So
Man, the beef. Talking about Wendy's, where's the beef at? That's right here with Ben.
Hey, it's fresh, never frozen in this studio.
So that leaves with Dairy Queen, and as much as I like the ice cream, I feel like seeing as how it is not a total package restaurant, it does deserve to be axed here.
Yeah, I think
Everybody
it should
agree?
be
Yeah,
axed.
Get it out of here.
So that brings us down to 6 with Chick-fil-A, Taco Bell, Wendy's, Comeback Shack, Cookout, and Bojangles. Like I said, we asked Freddy's. I think since Comeback Shack is so region exclusive, I think we need to cut that one and make that one our.
Well, personally, as a guy that's gotten food poisoning from Cookout, I would rather get rid of Cookout than get rid of a great restaurant like Comeback Shack.
Yeah, I'd rather get rid of Cookout instead of Comeback Shack because when was the last time you went to Cookout, didn't get a milkshake before 10 p.m. and said, oh, this is really good food?
So that's a fair
About
point.
2 days
the
ago.
only reason that Cookout is on this list, I think, is because it's the only place open in Boone up to 3 a.m.
Sure.
I mean, I almost exclusively frequent Cookout
Yeah.
after the hour
Sure.
of midnight. So if we're talking about quality of food, I've had Cookout earlier in the day. I've had it during lunch. It's not necessarily the greatest food known to man. If it comes down to between Comeback Shack and Cookout, while I do love Cookout, Comeback Shack would have to stay for me.
Yeah, I don't know how we could.
Let's get rid of Cookout. If I had to choose between ever having Cookout or ever having Comeback again,
Okay.
Cookout's gone, no question.
I can live with that. I agree. That brings us down to 5 because Comeback Shack is a great place. So, like I said, if you're listening and you're not a Boone resident, if you ever make it up here to beautiful Boone, North Carolina, please go try Comeback Shack. It is a wonderful place. Okay, so your final 5 deep fried top 5 fast food restaurants are Chick-fil-A, Taco Bell, Wendy's, the local favorite Comeback Shack, and Bojangles. What order do you think we should put these in? I'm going to go ahead and throw it out there that Taco Bell should go at the bottom.
That's
I'd
fair.
agree with that, yeah.
That's fair.
And I think Chick-fil-A should be at the top. That's just a personal
Well,
opinion.
let's be honest here. If we're keeping Comeback Shack in this argument, I think Comeback Shack should go at the top.
Much better chicken sandwich, I'll tell you that.
I-
And if Chick-fil-A invented the chicken sandwich, then so did Joe Namath invented basketball. But if I had to draft between Joe Namath and LeBron James, I'm taking LeBron James.
Joe Namath plays football.
Or I mean Joe
Naismith.
Naismith. Let's redo that bit. Take 2.
I think I'll leave it in. That's pretty funny.
No, let's not do that.
All right, so right now we've got Taco Bell at the bottom and Comeback Shack at number 1. Where do we look? I think Wendy's is our okay. Chick-fil-A would be our number 2 spot. I think
Chick-fil-A 2,
Fair.
Definitely.
Wendy's 3, Bojangles 4, Taco Bell 5.
I could live with that.
It's interesting that it's almost
Anybody
exclusively like chicken joints there. Like we got Chick-fil-A and Bojangles on there,
True.
which are
But Comeback
very-
Shack and Wendy's are both burger-oriented places. So So everybody fair with that? Everybody good?
And then Taco Bell,
I'm set.
authentic Mexican
Cool.
food.
Very authentic.
Anyone
It's
hungry?
not. It's not authentic. just
We
just
just
a
ate. We
PSA.
just
It
ate.
is not. It is not authentic.
So that's your final deep fried freedom top 5 fast food restaurants. Number 5 is Taco Bell. Number 4 is Bojangles. Number 3 is Wendy's. Number 2 is Chick-fil-A. And number 1 is the local favorite, Comeback Shack. I think that's a pretty good list. And we're going to move on here, and we're going to hit our next category. And that is we're going to look at the entertainment side of things, and we're going to talk about supervillains. So, Ben, why don't you start us off down there?
So I've got some pretty serious defenses for each of these guys here. I think that I have comprised the best possible list of villains.
All right.
So the first of which is one that's probably not going to get a lot of notoriety from the rest of you guys, but it's Doomsday. And the reasoning being the only villain to ever come close to killing Superman was
true. Well,
Doomsday.
he technically did.
Sort of killed.
Yeah.
He killed Superman, and then Superman basically came back to life like 2 months later.
Sure.
So basically, he put him in a coma. But I mean, the only other person to kill Superman would be Batman, and Batman's not a villain, or is he a villain? Like who, whatever. Doomsday is my number one for that reason.
Okay, sure.
He's what other villains succeed
Okay.
in their goals that they
Absolutely.
go out for. The next is going to be Thanos, which we're going to be able to see a lot of
Good choice.
in the upcoming Infinity War. Lex Luthor is the next. I think that we're probably going to be agreeing there for a little bit.
One of the greatest.
Joker is my next one.
Sure.
And then last but not least is Magneto, which some could classify as a hero and a villain, sort of, kind of, depending on how you feel about him, depending on what parts of the books and comics and movies you're looking at. But I think he's one of the greatest villains
Great.
by far.
Just a great character. He's amazing. Yeah, I'm a huge X-Men fan, and Magneto's definitely on my list. At the top of my list, I have the Joker, and it is just so hard for me to count the Joker out, especially after watching The Dark Knight and seeing Heath Ledger's job of playing him, and I just find it so hard to put anybody on top of the Joker. At 2, I had Magneto, like I mentioned. At 3, I have Venom from Spider-Man. As a little kid, I always loved Venom. I thought he was one of the coolest villains. Then I have Doctor Doom.
Okay.
And then I also have Lex Luthor on my list. I think it's really hard to keep Lex Luthor out of it.
Okay. Phil.
All right, so my list is a little bit different, but not much. I've got Joker, Magneto. We already know the reasons why they're on there. I've got Spider-Man's villain, Green Goblin, on there.
Okay.
Nice.
Okay.
Tobey Maguire's, was it Tobey? Yeah, Tobey
Yes, it was
Maguire's
Tobey Maguire.
Spider-Man. Watching, I don't know who the actor
Willem
was.
Dafoe. It was
William
Willem Dafoe.
Dafoe's Green Goblin. Insane. Great. One of the first superhero movies I actually ever watched.
Sure.
I put Loki on there. I went on a Marvel binge over a break, and I really enjoyed Loki. You don't know if he's a hero or if he's a villain. Usually a villain because he usually betrays Thor. And then my last one I put on there was Bane.
Okay.
See, that's a good one for sure.
That's a good one. I like that a lot. He's been both in other forms of media, but notably in The Dark Knight Rises.
He broke Batman.
True. I agree.
Clay, you're
He's
the
a great
man
one.
of impressions. Can you do a good Bane?
Benjamin, I sure can.
You simply adopted the darkness. I was born in it, molded by it.
Not bad, not bad.
I hope
So-
that sounded as good on the mics as it did in real life. That was good.
That was good.
So my list, I'm going to agree with a lot of these. I do have my number 1 is the Joker. My number 2 is Lex Luthor. I also have Loki on my list, but he was at the bottom for me. He was number 5. And one that hasn't been mentioned yet that I think Phil and y'all might agree with me because we all, I think, at some point in our young lives saw that Justice League cartoon that was on for so long. And that's the ultimate Justice League bad guy who was hinted in that terrible Justice League movie we got last year. And that's Darkseid. He is essentially the Thanos of the DC universe. He's the big, otherworldly dictator person that comes and tries to take over the world. And this is going to be my very uncommon one here, and this is somebody that's not. He's had run-ins with Batman. He's had run-ins with all sorts of other DC characters. This is one that probably isn't as familiar with, but he is the Master Assassin, Deathstroke. He's been in a lot of different things. He's a master martial artist, kind of a ninja character, a mercenary hired gun. I expect him to get chopped from this list, but he deserved a mention from me because I do enjoy him and everything I've ever seen him in.
That's the one that was in the after credit scene with Lex Luthor and Justice League, right?
Yes, that is
So
correct.
anybody didn't see
That is correct.
Justice
Yes.
League yet.
So that's what we've got so far is Doomsday, Thanos, 2 votes for Lex Luthor, Joker, the undisputed favorite here with 3 votes, Magneto with 2, Venom, Doctor Doom, Green Goblin, Loki, Bane, Darkseid, and Deathstroke. So let's start at the top. Well, actually, we started at the top last time. We'll start at the bottom. I think we can go ahead and all agree that Deathstroke is going to be axed here.
Yeah.
So that was my honorable mention. That's why he was in there. Darkseid.
Fair. So Darkseid, I like the concept of putting him there, but as far as in terms of what he's actually done, what his goals and ambitions really are, there's world domination and world destruction
Sure.
is the goal of several different
That's right.
specifically DC villains for the most part, but then with Thanos on the and Thanos and what was the monsters that came in the second Avengers movie? The robot
Ultron.
Age of Ultron.
That's
That
right.
was created by Tony Stark, though, so
Yes,
they didn't
yes.
come from anywhere else.
Right, but still, the point being that as far he's not one that while he is in like older comic books, like the big time DC superhero, I don't see him as being that impactful compared to some of the parallels in other storylines.
I agree. I'm okay with chopping Darkseid. He's a great character, but I don't know that he lives up to some of the other names we have on this list so
Right.
far.
Amen.
Next is
Bane.
So the fact that he beat Batman,
it's impressive.
that's something for sure. I mean, none of the but at the same time, I don't think if we're going for the DC and Batman specifically, Batman villains, like he still is completely incomparable to the Joker in my mind as well.
Yeah, I don't think you could put him above the Joker. I think just if he was in any other comic book just with another superhero, then I'd definitely put him on there. But just I don't think he lives up to the hype as the Joker.
Has Joker ever took over Gotham?
If he wanted to, he 100% could, but that's the reason
not
that
the point.
Joker is the best. The reason that Joker is the best villain is because he only has one goal. He's never been about fame. He's never been about riches. He successfully robbed a bank just to kill everyone and then leave the money.
Yeah.
He literally, his only goal is to wreak havoc and to harass the living heck out of Batman. And he's really good at doing both
That's
of
right.
those things.
Extremely good at it.
It's because to him the world is just a big joke, and
He's
it's everything is
very
funny. He's just
nihilistic, yeah.
crazy. So
That's why he got his name.
He's the Joker.
So
As disappointing as it may be,
I think Bane deserves to be axed from this list, unfortunately.
Yeah, I'd
and that
agree.
is a disappointment.
So next, Loki had 2 votes, so we'll keep him in for now. Green Goblin.
I'm personally more of a fan of Venom, but if you're talking about iconic, I think the Green Goblin is more popular than Venom.
I'm down to keep Goblin in there for the time being.
Yeah, for
I
now.
would take Goblin over Venom in terms of Spider-Man super villains at least.
What do we think about Doctor Doom? I like the Fantastic Four. They've had unfortunate lack of success in the box office.
Yeah.
So I almost think that maybe Doctor Doom should be eliminated compared to some of these others.
Yeah, that's fine.
Venom, does that coincide with the Green Goblin that we lose Venom here? I
Yeah,
do
we
like
can cut
Venom.
him out.
Magneto was obviously a very big favorite there, as was Lex Luthor and the Joker. Those 3 definitely aren't going anywhere. What do we think about Thanos? Does he fall in line with the dark side mentality that he is just a big alien guy that wants to come take over the world?
I really want to believe that he's going to be portrayed as cool as he was in some of the older comic books. I mean, the fact that he really just wants to give a gift to death. That's the whole reason he wants to come to Earth and destroy. He wants to claim billions of lives so that he can give a gift to death. It would be the cosmic equivalent of him giving a bouquet of roses to the essence of death. So the concept of Thanos coming in and just wanting to destroy everything for the sake of destruction just screams, awesome villain. But I don't know how well it's going to be done in this newest movie, and that newest movie will be the deciding point for the character as a whole, because if it'll most likely be the last time we see that character. So,
Well, you never
maybe
know.
Not. You're right. Maybe not. So I wanted to put it on the list for a possible discussion, but I'm comfortable with him not being in our
Sure.
top 5.
I think in April, like after the new Infinity War for Avengers has came out, then we'll really be able to say, okay, was he one of the best top 5 villains, or if we're just going to keep him off the list. But I don't think, as of now, you can put him on there, because all he's ever been in are after credit scenes or like for 20 seconds on the Guardians of the Galaxy thing.
So I think Thanos could hit the cutting board here, and that'll bring our number down to 7. And our last person to talk about is Doomsday. I like it.
I really like Doomsday being there.
Sure.
Like,
It's unfortunate how he was portrayed in Batman vs. Superman,
yeah.
the movie. It's
Well, I mean,
unfortunate, but
I think we're all in agreement that we're going to pretend Batman versus Superman never happened. Like,
More or less, yes.
Can we? I mean,
Absolutely.
yeah, it happened, but did it really? We're going to let that one stay out
we
there
try to
for a little
pretend
bit.
that the whole DC movie campaign here doesn't happen,
Yeah, we're
but it
sticking-
continues to come out. So
So with that being said, if we're ignoring the concepts of the most recent of the DC universe films, then as far as quality of character goes, I think Doomsday is phenomenal.
Sure. In my opinion here, looking at the list compared to how many votes all these characters got, it more or less comes down. We have 6 right now. It comes down between Green Goblin and Doomsday. We
I
have
put
to decide.
Doomsday above Green Goblin.
I would agree with Doomsday.
I'm fine with that.
I'm fine with that.
Sure. So Green Goblin goes, and our final 5 are Doomsday, Lex Luthor, Joker, Magneto, and Loki. Does anybody object that Joker is not the number 1?
So I almost want to. Joker is my favorite, but as far as like quality of villainous characters go, I love Lex Luthor in the fact that he was more or less a good guy, even though he was a bad guy.
Sure.
He hated Superman and wanted to kill Superman because he was afraid that Superman was going to take over the world with his undeniable power. If he wanted to, at any point, he could take over the world. Lex Luthor had an undeniable conviction to what he thought was not only morally right, but an obligation and his like humanity's duty to take care of. And so not only that, he's just a completely normal dude who
Sure.
goes bald, which is kind of funny that he kind of blames Superman
He
for
does.
his baldness, and that's like a big part of his anger. But I think he's such a diverse villain. I think there's such
Sure.
an intricate story there. He served as president for a while
Right. That's
as a
true.
character,
That's right.
which I think is really interesting
is
as a
cool.
supervillain.
Yeah.
And there's parallels to what people believe is good versus what people believe is evil in today's modern society. If if we're talking about who's the commander in chief right now, we don't need to pitch personal opinions, but there's people who are very dramatically for and very dramatically against what he believes in. But you got to think if he's a bad guy or if he's a good guy, he's doing what he wants to do and what he believes in. He's got conviction, at least, sure.
Well, the bad thing is you can't get rid of Batman versus Superman, because Lex Luthor's portrayal in that movie wasn't really the greatest. I didn't think of him as a scary character. No hate to the actor that played him, but he just didn't give me that crazy vibe. Like in Batman versus Superman, Doomsday was the coolest villain, and he'd be on way above Lex Luthor. If that's the only thing I knew about Lex Luthor was that movie alone.
But just personally, I don't see how I think he is a solid number 2 in my opinion, but I do not think he has enough to top the Joker.
I love the portrayal of the conflict between Joker and his identity. Like, Joker's identity is completely wrapped up into Batman in a way that no other villain is wrapped up in any other thing ever. He's so incredibly and emotionally convicted to what he's doing, and I think that makes for a great villain.
So what we've got so far is we've all agreed that Joker is at number 1, Lex Luthor is at number 2. Let me pitch this order to you. Number 1 is the Joker. Number 2 is Lex Luthor. Number 3 is Magneto. Number 4 is Loki. Number 5 is Doomsday.
I'd be fine with that.
I'm on board with that order.
I like that better, but I would personally move Lex Luthor underneath Magneto.
So there's another thing that I kind of can get on board with. So Magneto is another one of those like really quality characters, not necessarily like a big scary like monster character like, you know, Darkseid or Doomsday or Thanos, but like a quality intricate character. Magneto is also one of those like pseudo like good guy, bad guy, more or less bad guy, but like definitely has some like innate goodness and sincere intentions in what he's doing. The only difference is Magneto might be a great parallel for some of the greatest villains in human society in real life. Magneto wanted to commit complete and total genocide of all non-humans, or non-mutants, in order to protect the mutants. So you kind of grow to love him as a mentor and protector of the mutants, who are some of our best characters and favorite characters, and then find out that he's, you know, so radical in his means of protecting them that he literally intends to kill all non-mutants. That's some pretty serious villainous stuff here.
So do we put
So top
Magneto at
5
2?
villain list.
I would want to
I
have.
think Magneto can hit 2. I mean, genocide might be
Might
one
be
of the
enough.
most villainous things you can do here.
Yeah, I would put Magneto above Lex Luthor.
So to wrap it up here, that is your deep fried top 5 supervillains of all time. Number 5 is Doomsday. Number 4 is Loki. Number 3 is Lex Luthor. Number 2, Magneto. And number 1 is the Joker. So our last category we're going to hit here before we sign off is Migos. They're coming to our campus here at Appalachian State to perform a concert next week. And since we won't be doing a podcast next week, in honor of that, our last category is going to be the top 5 hip-hop artists. And we're going to start with Ben on the end down there again. Ben, what you got?
So I've got a relatively mainstream group here, but I've got one that I'm going to throw in, and I don't even think it's a consolation, you know, like an honorable mention like some of our other stuff that we've been tossing in. I know it's going to get axed down by y'all because I don't know if you guys have ever heard any of their stuff. However, I do think it's really important that I mention them, and that is Brockhampton.
Okay,
So
I am familiar with them.
If you aren't familiar with Brockhampton, I'll just rattle off just a little bit. So they're a group. They call themselves a boy band, which is a really fun marketing tool that they've been using. They're this big group of what I believe is like 80% homosexual. It's kind of hard to tell, but they really, really are diverse in their conversational topic of what they rap about, what they create music about, and they're incredibly catchy, incredibly good lyricists, incredibly fun, and the biggest part that I think is really cool is they're constantly pumping out content. A lot of Chris Brown fans keep on saying that they love that he gave us like, you know, a 45-song mixtape. Brockhampton has given us 70-some songs this year on 3 studio albums, and they're working on a 4th one that's coming. Well, not this year. I'm sorry, the year of 2017. And they're working on another album that's supposed to come out sometime in the next month. They're also touring during this time. They've been touring all of last year while they were making that music. They're touring this year right now. They're starting another tour in late or mid-April, I believe. So I really think that Brockhampton is gonna be one of the biggest names in the history of hip hop in the coming years, and I think it's worth noting now.
Sure.
My next on my list is Kanye West for obvious reasons.
Right.
Drake for obvious reasons. Phillip is going to get on board with this one because the man Jermaine himself, J. Cole, is for the most, I think, obvious of reasons out of them all, but we hear a lot of J. Cole slander. And then Tyler, the Creator, is my last on that
Interesting.
list.
All right,
Paley,
my
what you
list.
got?
My list. At number 1, I have Biggie. Which did you have him on your list?
He was an honorable mention. I was going to put him on, but I honestly dropped him for Brockhampton.
Gosh, I don't. That is. I think it's so hard to not have Biggie in your top 5. He's at the top of my list. At number 2, I have Eminem. Number 3, I have Tupac. Then I have Drake, and then Dr. Dre at the number 5.
Okay. Phillip, what you got? We know you got J. Cole in there.
I've got J. Cole because he claims Fayetteville, and that's where I'm from, so you got to put him on there. I got Kendrick Lamar next. I put Outkast on there.
I love Outkast.
I've got Drake, and I got the guy that came here last year, Lil Wayne.
I can feel
That's a good-
conflict in
that's
the
a good
air.
addition.
Oh
in
yes.
this coming
Oh
few
yes.
minutes.
Oh yes. Oh yes. Okay. My number 1 is a group that y'all know I am very fond of, and I know y'all are fond of too, because in my opinion they really changed America in that time, and that is NWA, the great rap supergroup from the late 1980s into the 90s until Eazy-E tragically passed away. Next, I also have Kanye West, as Ben so elegantly put for obvious reasons. I have Snoop Dogg.
That's one I
Okay.
wish I had left on my list.
Snoop is in my eyes. You know, he kind of jumped in with Dre at the latter NWA years, and you know some of those songs he was on of Dre's and obviously some of his great solo work. It makes him a top caliber hip hop artist. And I am going to throw in the hat for the group coming here, Migos, and I'm also going to vote for Kendrick Lamar. So we have 15 artists here so far. That is Brockhampton, Kanye West, Drake, J. Cole, Tyler the Creator, Biggie, Eminem, Tupac, Dr. Dre, Kendrick Lamar, Outkast, Lil Wayne, NWA, Snoop Dogg, and Migos. So we started at the bottom last time. We'll go back to the top. What do you guys think about Brockhampton? We know how Ben feels.
I feel like there's just way too many big names and just popular names, and just the fact that probably half of the listeners won't know who they are should take them off the list.
So if we're going to let Brockhampton fall to the wayside on this list, which is understandable given circumstance.
At this point in time, at least.
I'm going to do my part as a very avid fan and ask you listeners, if you're curious, go check it out for yourself.
Absolutely.
I think it is wonderful, wonderful content. I think it is groundbreaking, and I think it is a completely new genre of hip-hop that is so yet to be untapped, or is so untapped. So I'm excited for it.
I too am moderately familiar with their music, so I also would recommend that our listeners go check them out. But compared to some of these names, at least at this point in time, I think they do need to fall by the wayside. But next, he had 2 votes, so he'll stay in for now, is Kanye West. Drake came in with 4 votes, J. Cole with 2. Tyler the Creator is our next one. I am going to vote against Tyler.
I'm going to vote for the X also, but I just think he's a really funny rapper.
He is in an
he deserves some spotlight, but I don't know if he deserves enough.
He's an entertaining guy.
If we're going for entertainment and funny rappers, I'd definitely put Lil Wayne on there above Tyler the Creator.
So as far as Tyler the Creator, though, he's part of a counterculture too, though, which is such a big fundamental part of musical culture in general. I mean, like a lot of Tyler Creator to me, I think is quality content, catchy tunes. Like the fact that he could put his somewhat discomforting and unsettling style of the way he is. So that's I understand if you guys don't want him on the list, but again, I had to at least pitch out what I think is
agree.
notable.
In a lot of ways,
They're not gonna.
Right, but it's just you got to compare him to some of these people that we have to deal with here, like Kendrick and Dr. Dre and Kanye and Drake, and if he can really at this point, at least at this point in time. A lot of the thing with this category is a lot of these guys are still active. So at this point in time, maybe they're not to that caliber yet, but who says in 10 years they may be.
Yeah, and that's an argument we'll have to really look into with a bunch of these people.
So moving on, we have Biggie, who's obviously a legend. This is a hard one, but I think he could go.
Why would you say that? I don't know how you can cut him.
It's hard, man.
His flow is amazing. His lyrics are great, and I don't know. I just think it's so hard to cut him out.
So as far as quality of music goes, no one here is going to say that he wasn't talented. No one's going to say here that he wasn't good. And as far as impact goes, no one here is going to say that he didn't fundamentally build on and, if not at points, change the entire concept of hip-hop music.
Sure.
However, that being said, how often do you listen to Biggie as opposed to the other 4 on your list?
Good point.
How often? I know as much as I respect and love Biggie, he didn't make my list I had to come down to, who do I go to? Who do I listen to? The best to me is who I listen to, and I just don't listen to him enough compared to how high he's held notoriably. Words. And that's frankly the same point I have for Tupac.
Okay.
A little above the pay grade there for me. I don't think it's there.
We'll keep Biggie. Should we cut him, or do you think we want to keep him in there for right now and move on?
I think we should leave him, but I don't think he's in the 5.
I'm gonna pitch this one. I've got a buddy from back home that would very much disagree with this next comment, but I think Eminem should go. I think he had his time, and then I think he has very much fallen off, and he's not in it anymore.
Well, I mean, there's a lot of rappers that we've said that are
That's
not
true.
in it anymore, and I don't know. Eminem he used to run the game, and he used to be so different, and I just lyrically amazing. You can say that the messages he shoots out there aren't the best, because the whole Slim Shady persona is definitely not the best influence on people. But I think it's really hard to get him off the list too, because he played a big role in like changing rap music, and he's still at one time when he was rapping, a lot of people considered him the best rapper in the game, and even his new album that came out, it didn't do very poorly. A lot of people liked it.
So I have a problem with seeing him leave, but I have a problem with seeing him stay, and that's what's hard for me. So I love Eminem, and I frankly love lyrical rappers a lot more than I can't stand this mumble rap generation that we're sitting in right now.
21.
I can't. I don't understand it. But as much as he was at one point one of the greatest, if not the greatest, I frankly don't think that he fell off. I really think he fell off. He had some good stuff coming before. What's he done since? He's supposedly releasing some new music soon, is he not?
He already released the music. He released a whole album.
When was this?
Last year in like October.
Walk on Water.
I
He had a
haven't
song
heard
with
any
Ed
of
Sheeran. Oh, that hit the
I
Billboard
haven't heard
top
any of it.
charts. That was all over the place.
Wow.
That was a very popular song.
All right, maybe my
One
opinion
thing-
doesn't matter in this. On the Eminem topic, I rescind my comments until I hear his newest pieces.
One thing I think we need to keep in mind, we're not talking about the top 5 hip-hop artists now. We have to,
Of all
didn't we
time.
say all time? Or
We
was
did.
that just what we talked about off show?
Yeah, because everybody's going to go off. Like, their career's going to dip. I mean, Dr. Dre's career dipped for a while, but no one's arguing that he's not that he had an amazing career or anything.
So we'll leave Eminem again for now. This is getting a lot more difficult than we expected. Tupac is next. I could axe Tupac and
Cut
not feel
him.
bad about
I
it.
really think cut him.
If we had to keep Biggie or Tupac, I'd put Biggie in there.
100%.
I mean, he's a very influential rapper, but
What about
I don't know.
What about Dre?
You got NWA.
That's the question. Do we keep NWA or do we keep Dr. Dre or do we not keep either?
I think if we have to pick between in my very personal opinion, I do feel very strongly about it. I really think NWA has a spot in the top 5.
I could see NWA staying. I couldn't see Dre standing alone staying.
Okay.
And that's only because NWA's extreme influence on culture in general as well as hip-hop culture.
Yeah, it's hard to argue with that.
Kendrick Lamar received more than one vote, so he'll stay for now. Outkast, I'm going to vote for an axe. Compared to the rest of these guys, I'm just saying.
I'm a huge Outkast fan. Definitely in my favorites, but I didn't put them on my list just because of they just don't compare to these guys. So I'm also fine with axing them.
Okay. Next is Lil Wayne, and I am going to say I have a very, very firm axe on this one. You will not be able to convince me otherwise.
A lyrical genius? We just talked about Eminem. We can't forget about one of the greatest lines. Some of the greatest lines have come from Lil Wayne. I don't want to hear nothing from a non-rap knowing person over here to my right. Clay Councilman.
That's not true, but
He's a walking pun. I don't know if I would
I
ever
agree.
put him in the terms of greatest of all time.
nah,
That's
not a chance.
really not the words I'd use to describe, but I refuse to hear slander of Lil Wayne not having one impact and two being like the most fantastic of lyricists sometimes.
He is entertaining, but I do not think he has a place among some of the royalty on this
I mean,
list.
you look at his success. He is one of the most successful rappers. He is number 2 on the list of soloists with the most entries into the Hot 100, right behind Drake, with I think it's 137 entries in the top 100, and I might be wrong, but it's definitely in the 130s. So you can't say that he did not have a lot of success in the industry.
Young Money, Cash Records. Are we going to forget that, Drake, Nicki Minaj, all these people have came under Lil Wayne's like wings. Like, you can't miss out on that.
That's what I was just about to say. As far as terms of impact go, he basically groomed, cropped, and like perfectly produced what is arguably the number one. He was an all-4 vote, by the way, Drake. So
It's true.
So, at the very least, if we're agreeing that Lil Wayne is not in the conversation of greatest of all time, we can at least agree that we're not accepting the Lil Wayne slander this evening.
Listen. I did not think he was impactful. I said that he did not have a place among this royalty in terms of legendary status.
He definitely should be in the conversation, though, even if he doesn't make it. I think it's really hard to count him out just easily like you are.
I don't know.
So that's three for keeping him for right now.
I don't enjoy his music, and I never have.
Until we get later, we're going to keep him for now.
I'm okay with that. This is a complete flip-flop for me. This is one that I really, really feel very determined about, and that is NWA.
Well, we just got rid of Dre, and we just talked about how we were keeping NWA. So
I think NWA stays for countless reasons, frankly.
Right. Snoop Dogg.
I'd say cut him. If we didn't keep Dre,
It's
we
sad.
got to cut him.
It's sad, but I agree.
Because Snoop Dogg is, I think, exactly on par with Dr. Dre.
Snoop to the D-O-double-G.
And don't even say Migos. You might as well just cut them off before you even say anything.
All right.
Cut 'em
So
out.
we've got Kanye West,
Cut it.
Drake, J. Cole, Biggie, Eminem, Kendrick Lamar, Lil Wayne, and NWA. We have to cut 3 of those. Can I throw out my 3 nominations?
Sure.
Don't you say some blasphemy over there.
Lil Wayne, Eminem, and J. Cole.
Ooh, you just went there. I don't know what to think anymore.
So, frankly, as far as greatests, I will begrudgingly let go of Lil Wayne, begrudgingly will let go of Eminem. Cannot say those words about J. Cole, though.
You
I
can't
really can't.
get rid of J. Cole.
Hey, man, those are just my nominations.
this is what we were
Nominations
talking
convince
about.
me.
Hey,
Convince
Phil, you
me.
got some stats for me, big guy?
Oh,
Convince
yeah.
me.
He's the, first artist to go double platinum without any features since who? Oh, yeah, the king of pop, Michael Jackson. In 2016, he released For Your Eyes Only. In the week that it was out, he sold 492,000 units. The only person that compared to that in 2016 was Drake's Views and Beyonce's Lemonade, which Beyonce wasn't even on that list.
Okay.
I mean, okay, this is what we were talking about earlier, is I think it's too early in his career to be comparing him with NWA, Eminem, Biggie, Drake, and all these other people. I mean, if we're talking about maybe in the future, I'd say give it a few years, I would put him in that list. But it's, even though he has had extreme success, I don't think you can put him in there.
He's just not that young. I don't think early in the career is the right move. Frankly, I think he's at his prime. He's about to put out new music very, very soon. He has very, very extreme success on the last, 3 studio albums, and then before that even, some of his mixtapes were like some of the stuff that I grew up listening to.
He's been in the game since 2007. I think it's really hard to call him a new rapper if he's been in the game 11 years.
I'm not talking about just like a new rapper. I'm just talking about nobody in 2007, no one was talking about J. Cole as being a top rapper.
But
And
if you think about
right now, he is. I would say he's around the top of the game. I wouldn't say he's better than. I mean, better lyricist. I would say he's better than Drake, but I wouldn't say he's above him right now, success-wise.
So, all right, so what we've got is I don't think Kanye goes. I don't think Drake goes. I
Sure.
don't think NWA goes.
Sure.
So that leaves J. Cole, Biggie, and Kendrick, and we've got to part with one of them. We don't have to like it, but we have to do it.
Out of those 3, I lose Biggie there.
Same.
And that hurts me.
I disagree.
Very much so to do. Maybe if Biggie stayed alive long enough to give us what he could have given us.
Okay.
But
Amen.
and I mean that very it's hard to say, but frankly, I mean he died 16 days after Life and Death came out, and that was basically his crowning piece of achievement here. What would have come after, what's the next big thing? I mean, Drake's put out, how many albums in this past 10 years? He's sitting at 9 or 10 studio albums, all of which are Billboard shots, everything. Imagine if Biggie got to stay alive longer than longer than that and got to be able to put out what we needed to. But as far as what we have to judge, I can't leave him on the list over J. Cole.
I think it's hard to kick him out because my argument for kicking out Kendrick Lamar and J. Cole is because there's not been a moment where either one of them have been indisputably running the game, running rap music, because you jumped from the Kanye West generation, the Lil Wayne generation, the Eminem generation, and then Drake now. I don't think you can put them up there because Biggie, I'd say, ran the game when he was in there. You could argue it was like Pac and Biggie, but that's my reasoning that I would keep Kendrick Lamar and J. Cole out.
During Good Kid, Mad City in those times, backseat freestyle, that kind of stuff, I thought Kendrick was the king of the game at the time. I really did. I mean, there was a lot of notable acting, moving parts of the hip hop scene at the time. But I really every time that a Kendrick project comes out, I don't ever see myself putting it down. You know how many times I've listened to this Black Panther soundtrack that he did with SZA and all those names?
Yeah.
It's just a phenomenal piece. And I've listened to it so many times. At this certain point in time, I see Kendrick Lamar over Drake right now, this moment.
Oh, I don't know about that. I do not know about that.
Not overall career, but I mean at this very moment, the only thing that Drake has given us a couple songs, and he has been cashing out on those songs.
Before earlier this year, Drake was on the top Billboard 100 for 8 consecutive years, 52 weeks for 8 years. It's hard not to put him as the king of the rap game, if that's what we're going to call it.
And you're saying right now, I mean, Drake released, what's that song? God's Plan. That's been playing everywhere nonstop. And whether you like the song or not, you can't say that hasn't had as much success as any Kendrick Lamar song that has come out. So I think it's really hard to put Kendrick Lamar on top of Drake. Maybe as a better rapper, you could make that argument for sure. But Drake, success-wise, I don't think you could put him above him right now.
J. Cole had 2 votes.
That's a good point. But he did have 2 votes.
That's true.
Okay.
That's fair. Dropping bombs.
All right, well let's put them in order. We've got Kanye West, Drake, J. Cole, Kendrick Lamar, and NWA.
Who's our flagship here?
Drake's at 1.
Head of the crowd. The only reason
I vote Kanye.
I want Kanye as far as quality of music. I like Kanye over Drake, but
let me give you this analogy real quick.
Go for it.
You know how the English government works? You have the queen, who is technically the top dog, but doesn't really do much. And then you've got the prime minister that does everything. In the world of rap right now, Kanye West is the queen, and Drake is the prime minister.
I don't think you can say that. We just bumped a bunch of people because they dropped off. I mean, look at Kanye.
Kanye hasn't dropped off. He's sporadic with his releases. There's a big difference.
As compared to what Kanye was, he's not even close.
Life of Pablo was his most recent
beautiful piece of art.
And it's literally, and that's the biggest thing. So I think Kanye West is above in terms of quality, not in terms of influence as much. Drake is out here cashing out. No one's going to deny that Drake is the one cleaning up in terms of money and Billboard's nominations, Grammys, everything. But as far as quality, music is to some degree art. And I don't call Drake so much of an artist as I would call Kanye an artist.
I will make this, I'm going to counter-argue myself here a little bit. Seeing as how this is how we decided between J. Cole and Biggie, Drake does have more votes than Kanye.
Amen.
I also will throw this out there. Drake's most recent album, More Life, broke the global record for single week artist streams when it came out. And also, he does sit at the top with the most 100 entries as a soloist with 154 songs.
So I think I came up with the perfect list that tops for everybody. At 1, we'll have Drake. 2, we'll have Kanye. 3, we'll have NWA. 4, we'll have Kendrick. And we'll put J. Cole at 5.
I can very much live with that. That's exactly what I was thinking as well.
All
right. So that is your deep fried top 5 hip-hop artists of all time. At number 5 is J. Cole. At number 4 is Kendrick Lamar. Number 3 is NWA. Number 2 is Kanye West. And number 1 is the undoubted current king of rap, Drake. So that's going to wrap up our top 5 segment, and to close off the show like we did last week, Paley down there is going to offer us a question. And this is not going to be, the deep fried question is not an ordinary question. It is a very special type of question that makes us think, makes us use our imagination, and we hope that you enjoy listening to our reactions and maybe come up with an answer of your own. So Paley, give us this week's deep fried question.
All right, so this week's deep fried question is, you're sitting on your sofa, right? You hear someone knock on the door. You go open the door, and there's a DVD sitting right there. It says to watch it. So you put it in your DVD player, whatever, your computer. You start watching it, and it's basically your life. Everything you've done up until today, you watch it. Everything you remember, everything you don't remember. And then it goes up to you sitting on your sofa and hearing a door knock, and then it pauses. So it goes up to the point that you're at. Everything that's on this DVD, it continues. There will be an option that says continue watching, and it'll be your future. No matter what you do, this will be what's in your future. You can't change the outcomes in this video. Would you keep watching?
I'm personally going to say no. You don't continue watching. I don't want to know what I'm going to be doing in the future. It would be nice if I had some helpful tips on how to do it, but I don't want to be forced to do whatever it is. Especially if I don't like it, I want to have to go through life not knowing what's going to happen, and then it be unexpectedly terrible or either very great.
I'm also going to say no. That's tough, man. That's really tough. That's another good one. But I'm going to say no. To me, like Phil said, I would like to have some helpful hints for my future, things that I need to do, maybe things that I may decide not to do that I wish I had known that I should have done. But do I not want to know day by day, piece by piece, what I'm going to do and how the rest of my life is going to play out? No, I do not. I want to let it happen naturally as it happens with no prior knowledge to the events that are going to transpire.
Would you even play it for the next day? You don't have to keep watching until the very end, but you can just get a little sneak peek into what's happening. And it's not moving at real life time. It's kind of just like a quick summary of it, but the main outcomes will end up happening no matter what you do.
I'm still not going to watch it. I'm going to pull that disc out, snap it in half, and get rid of it, personally.
I'd like to believe that I have the willpower, the mental dexterity, and the decision-making skills that it would take for me to say, no, I'm not going to watch it. I'm going to snap it in half. I'm not going to ever see it again. I'm going to live my life and forget about it. That's ideally my answer. But my problem is, would I really have that kind of thought process when it's sitting there? I think it would start exactly how Paley is saying, where, first of all, I don't know if I would believe whether or not this is real. I'd be terrified. I'd be very confused. And I'd be like, well, there's a surefire way for me to figure out how this story ends, right? If it's real or not. You just keep watching for a little longer, and then a little longer, and then a little longer. So it's just kind of, I'd like to believe that I don't watch it, but I don't think that I could ever beat my own curiosity in that situation.
I kind of agree with you. It'd be really hard to just put it away because I would really want to be able to see just one day in the future. But also that would take away just the whole point of living, because then you know what's happening. There's no point of really just living and then just wondering what's going to happen, just not knowing.
So I've got 2 questions for you, Will. So is the video that we're watching, is it from my point of view? Is it there's a camera in my eye and that's how I'm living my life? Or is it somebody in the corner that's video recording everything?
No, it's not a creepy recording of someone just standing in the corner or you having a chip in your brain. It could be acted out as third-party people. It might not be you, but you recognize that this is your life being played out. And it's from a third point of view. So it's not anybody creepily filming it, and it's not just your point of view.
And then I've also got, is it in the eye of the beholder? Is it whoever picks up the DVD, you get to live their life? Or is it if you're watching the TV, it's your life, but if I'm watching it, I can't see what's going on you? Like the Mirror of Eris said in the Harry Potter series.
That's a good point.
It's only your life.
So you can only see your own portrayal of
But
this film.
Yes, but you will see what you witness happen to other people as well. It might not be someone else's story, but if you witness parts of someone's story, you can see it.
Interesting.
If you keep playing the video.
I'm going to say no. My final answer is no. And I agree with Ben's point about willpower, but in my head right now, I say no.
I mean, that kind of power to know exactly how the future is going to go, there's kind of a paradox that arises with that. Because if you see the future, then inevitably that knowledge of the future will impact your decision-making skills and the decisions you make, because you'll see things in there that are inevitable or are your future. A lot of those you're probably going to try to change actively after you've seen it, you know? And so how exactly would it work in terms of things that you seeing having to be true, you know?
Well, I think, of course, if you see it, then everything isn't going to play out exactly, but definitely like main events. The things will happen, but the way they happen might be different. Does that make sense?
So it's like a dream. You know, you can have those dreams where you these situations pop up, but you don't know exactly what happens in them, but you can remember when it happens in real life. Like, oh, I had this dream before.
Like deja vu?
Yeah, basically.
So the very last thing that I think about in terms of watching this film does anyone remember a film called Spaceballs?
Yeah, yes.
So
How could I forget?
in that situation where in Spaceballs, aboard the Spaceball ship that I forget the name of, is it just called the Spaceball?
I don't know. Something like
so
that.
aboard
Something goofy.
Spaceball 1, that's what it's called. And so aboard the ship, Darth Helmet whips out the film version of Spaceballs to watch to see where they're going to end up finding the princess that they were supposed to be kidnapping. So they fast forward, and it proves very effective to them to be able to watch their future before it's happened. So in that circumstance, does it work out like that for us? You know, can we fast forward to things that have already happened, or to watch it, you have to watch all the way through?
You have to watch all the way through. But it's not going to be at life speed. So, you're not going to be sitting down, watching.
It's the highlights.
Yeah, it's the highlights.
Well, that definitely is a lot to that's definitely a lot to think about, and we hope that picked your brain a little bit too. That's definitely a deeper one. Last week was a little humorous and fun, and that really was thought provoking, and I like that, and I hope that's what we continue to do, and hope that you can continue to listen along and think about it yourself. So that's going to wrap it up here on Hallway Talk. We're Deep Fried Freedom. I'm Clay Councilman. This is Phillip Watson, Will Paley, and Ben Szilagyi. We are not going to be here next week because we will be on break, but we'll be back at you in 2 weeks. And we thank you for listening. Have a good one.
You know how I like it when you loving on me.